Hey, everybody. It's day 3, and it is the lunch and learn experience of day 3 of the Family Business Life 9-day transformation challenge. My wife was giving me some feedback about this morning. She said, when you first started, you kept saying day 2. I guess I was thinking about day 2 so much to where even though I was thinking day 3 and trying to say day 3, day 2 was still in my mind. I think that was Lynn Ann's fault. I mean, she really brought the heat in a very unique and subtle way. And just to be very transparent, Lynn Ann and I are going to be on at about 1:30, and we're going to be going into what we call a VIP Q&A experience, and we're going to be introducing some things about Q&A itself and then having a Q&A experience. And so you want to get over and join that. But before we get to this VIP Q&A experience, we've got to do some gourmet food enjoyment. Why does Leo say gourmet food? It's because on day 1 lunch and learn, one of the people gave us some feedback that this was gourmet food for them. So I just decided to go ahead and keep it moving with that. So today we are in that third installment of the lunch and learn session, but also where we are focusing on the third misleading belief. So let me bring in some details here. So just to give you a visual, remember we are dealing with the trilogy of transformation for this lunch and learn portion over the 9 days, which means we're dealing with the misleading beliefs, we're dealing with the accurate beliefs, and the master keys that one expose the issue related to family life crashing and burning, show us how to eliminate the things that cause family life crashing and burning, and then the master keys that enable us to be on the trajectory and in the pursuit of family business life mastery. And so we have been talking about the misleading beliefs. This is the third day, and we're talking about misleading belief number 3. And so let's deal with the topic for today. And let me really set up the thought process that we should have with regard to the third misleading belief. So when you think about unclear relationship, how I want you to consider it is, so there was this situation in my life where, when my wife and I first met, man, when I tell you we'd have some wonderful connections and some times of getting together and great conversations, and we take the time to go and, hang out somewhere, be it get some lunch or just drive somewhere. And man, we just enjoy being in each other's company. Okay. Now we get married, and after we get married, there's an enjoyment of being in each other's company. But on my part, there was certainly some casualness about the fact that, hey, we're together. That's all that matters, right? But then some things start surfacing in me that I really didn't know was there. Now, one thing about when my wife and I met, and this is very important, folks, when we met and we connected, we were not really around our families a whole lot, right? We did connect with our respective families at points in times through events and interactions and things of that sort. But when it came down to it, what ended up happening was once we married, we started being around our families a little bit more, especially because the families wanted us to connect more. They're happy that we're married. It's like, oh, I got a son, and oh, I got a daughter. It's all those cool things, right? And one of the things that began to surface for me was my beliefs about money. See, when we were engaged, when we were in our courtship time frame, moving toward engagement, and before we got married, money was a unique factor in regard to how we engage, especially because it was one of those things that allowed us to kind of go and have a time together without being around family members. You know, you go grab something at a restaurant, even though it's a lot of people there, you don't have to worry about people being all in your business, right? And then not only you go to a restaurant, you might go to, you know, some type of event, some type of engagement, take a little trip or drive somewhere, go and sit out in the park, you know, different things like that. But what was one of the unique factors in the equation was money. And I had this thing that I would say, oh, I don't care about money. Why? Because there were some thought processes and perspectives from my environment that gave me this awareness about money to where it was important in certain regards, but ultimately it wasn't something you should really just concern yourself with, right? Well, as a result of me having the belief, remember we're talking about misleading beliefs, me having the belief that, oh, I don't care about money. Let me ask you this question. If you tell a friend that you don't care about them, are they going to be a friend too much longer? No. No, because you keep telling them you don't care about them and you keep showing it. So money became something that I really didn't care about. And as a result, money wasn't in my grasp in certain ways, but I didn't care about it. But it was affecting my relationship because, you know, my wife was like, just see, like, you don't care about me anymore, this and that. But it wasn't that money was such a pivotal thing. It was that it has a unique functionality in the context of us being able to engage in our relationship, that because I didn't have the right view, perspective, beliefs, and thoughts about it, it affected how we engaged in our marriage. Now, with that said, I want to deal with what is this third misleading belief. And it corresponds to what it is that I just talked about. And it is this: believing that family life, people believe that family life and business life don't relate. See, here's what the issue was for me. I did not think, because I said I don't care about money, I didn't think that money related to the connection that we had that caused us to move to the place of our relationship. It's not that money is something that determines whether or not we could be together and have this wonderful bliss in relationship, but money was a unique tool that was necessary and still is necessary in the context of our opportunities, our experiences, and our options, and all of that that help to enrich why we saw being together as a value. And it's the same way with family life and business life. I want to deal with the more problematic views of family life and business life in the context of there being a perception and a view of there not being a relationship. So let's talk about the thought process as to why people believe this is not the case, meaning that they don't relate to each other. But before we really get into that, I want us to think about how I challenged the thought process, the belief about family life and business life not relating, which essentially is saying that they do relate, right? This is a misleading belief. And if you really go back and kind of listen to the conversations that I had with Lynn, and I say Lynn because hers is where a lot of this really emerged very definitively, but certainly today with Brandon, and it was a little bit with James, but man, Lynn and Brandon's conversation really got into the nitty gritty of the isolation of business life from family life. I mean, how many of us really think about the fact that we are actually operating in such a manner to where we have isolated family life and business life from each other, and therefore are communicating that these two have no relationship and even that they should not connect in any way, that they shouldn't have any aspect of integration. That was one of the words that Brandon used, integration or interaction. Like, I mean, just think about it. This is why some of the frustrations come up, for example, of people feeling like family life is just being funded by business life. I mean, that's pretty grim to just think that, hey, my business life is just funding my family life. That goes back to one of the things I would talk about with my wife. And I talk about this in my book, I Hate My Wife. I just felt that the woman was needy, just needy. It's like she just used that phrase, I need, I need, I need. I was like, ah. It seemed like, man, you just want to take the money and just go and spend it all the time, everywhere, all things, and just why? It goes back to, remember, I had that thought process that I don't care about money. See, as a result of that thought process, it caused me to be in opposition to the one that I had this very unique and beautiful relationship. Plus, I didn't see how the money that we were producing from the work that we were actually doing from our business life and coming to our family life. It's like I always just felt like that this business life money was always being used in such a way that it was disregarding really what the point of the money was. But here's the thing: if you don't care about money, really ain't no point for money. So what was going on with Leo's head? And guess what? I don't know if I've said this, but I know what crashing and burning looks like. I was experiencing it. I saw it firsthand, face to face. It was in my face. And these thought processes, the trilogy of transformation and the misleading beliefs and the accurate beliefs and the master keys, these are all things that I begin to see in front of me and begin to provide value to me as I was challenging what I thought and believed, and even being challenged about what I thought and believed, to be positioned to experience transformation, right? I didn't want to stay where I was. And so when it comes to this relationship thing, and even the thought process about my wife saying, I need, what I learned was I need was designed to be something to activate a certain thought process, perspective. And we'll talk about this another time. But because I had the wrong belief about money, I had the wrong belief about how it was to be used, or even how it could be used as a magnificent tool to transform our experiences and how we are able to engage with each other, but also engage with the world, engage with life, add value to people to enrich the experiences that we have. The truth of the matter is, I found myself in the position to where I was operating incongruent to a reality about family life and business life. Yesterday, I said that one of the most devastating and disgusting of the misleading beliefs is trying to choose one over the other, believing that one is more important than the other. But this one right here is a subtle harm. This misleading belief creates this sense of shameful behavior. I said behavior. Shameful behavior where you actually seek to create a separation between family life and business life. You seek to make them be distinctive because you really don't want to deal with who you are in these distinctive environments in the unique ways that you are. See, Brandon was talking earlier about how he would have this very unique way of praying and, seeking guidance and strength for the work that he would do, with his ministry and serving the people he would serve. And never once, up until one day he got challenged, was he doing the same thing on the car ride back home, because he didn't see how they related. He didn't see that what I was doing over here with business. Y'all, I just can't tell you how much Brandon's conversation just got all into the trilogy of transformation. Got all into the very essence of the master keys for achieving family business life mastery. That there is a sense that how, James said this, how we do anything is how we do everything. And what Brandon was telling us was he came to a come to Jesus moment, as we say, where he saw that he had created a distinction between business life and family life. But the truth is, there is the essence that, get this, y'all, get this. There's a relationship between the two, and it's important for how we engage fully and completely. It makes me think about what James said about the question of, many of us would say that we would die for our families, but how many of us would actually come fully alive for them? And I want you to understand that coming fully alive for your family starts with understanding the relationship of the two most vital arenas and aspects of our life, which is business life and family life, or whichever way you want to put it, family life and business life. They need to be in a manner to where there's congruence between them. Now, let's talk a bit about where this comes from. Where is it that these two don't relate to each other comes from? Oh, yeah, I love it. Larry just said something that I got to share with you guys. Come fully alive for your family. Let me share with you where this misleading belief comes from. It comes from the idea that there needs to be, for example, I'm going to give you some examples. Separation of church and state. All right. Okay. Example of, you got home life and you got school life, I even know people who, they have family at home and then they have their friends, right, from school. And they have this thing where it's like they spend more time and prioritize their friends than their family, which that may not necessarily be a problem. But there's the sense that how they interact and engage is just isolating, because there's not really a priority for these folks over here, the family, it's like, but why? In many instances, it comes from our schooling and our experience in schooling. And don't get me wrong, I'm not criticizing it as far as being in school or being in public school, or, hey, my family and I, we're a homeschool family, and we have our reasons for that and our values for it. And actually, there's a lot of benefit for it. And I'll tell you something about that in just a moment, why it was just such a unique situation that we do homeschool. But one of the things about the schooling piece is that, think about COVID. How many parents during COVID were like, this has got to go back to normal as soon as possible because I can't deal with these children. Look, Leo getting the little tits here. He's getting into something that's a little unique. That's okay, because there's some value and perspective in it. Now, listen carefully. The thing with that is, that thought process speaks to the fact that the priority and the premier relationship and experience is that of business life. Now you say, how can that be for business life when it comes to school? Well, for the children, school is their business. That's their first level of business. That's their first interactions and engagements with business as a concept or construct, because how we deal with business how we deal with school is generally how we translate that over into our careers and environments, right? And so what happens is many people, they come home and they're really just Brandon talked about this. They come home to just be kind of like scrambling just to get ready for the next day, because there's not a sense that when I come home, that this is an environment that is one that has a nature and a organic experience of its own that's designed to fuel me for when I go back out there. Now, listen carefully. In that interaction and engagement of home life that's on a regular is such that you're spending less time at home. Here's where the balance piece becomes an issue. Because the fact that you're spending more time at work, or in the children's case at school, what happens is there's this sense of incongruence that causes you to have an imparting of belief that this is the one that's most important, and these things don't really connect. Even what you really talk about, what happens at school, doesn't really happen. You don't really talk about how your day was and why that day was what it was. And even if you do, it's really on the surface, not really to assess and evaluate and see how we can actually add value to each other before we go back into these environments that we are going to. See, the truth is, it's not that it's happening intentionally. Subconsciously, through habitual rhythm, there's a cause of the effect of a misleading belief. And that misleading belief is that these two don't relate, because there's not an intentional interaction between them, and how we engage with them is separate from one another. Now, does that mean you need to be a homeschool family? Nope. Does that mean you shouldn't be? Nope. Does it mean you should stop working for somebody and go and establish your own business so that now the business is connected with the family life and those types of things? Nope. Does that mean you shouldn't? Nope. What it means is, first and foremost, you must understand that there is a design for these two to relate. So much and so it goes back to the pivotal statement that we've been saying in promoting this transformation challenge. And that is this: family life and business life are meant to be teammates, not opponents. See, when you believe that they don't relate, you actually believe that they are in opposition to each other, which means you believe that they are inherently opponents. But that can't make sense, because the truth is, let's look at it. The children, before they're ever in a business, before they're even ever in school, they come first and foremost into family. And from family, there's an emergence into the environment of life, the environment of the economy, the environment of the marketplace, the environment of education, the environment of all the different nuances of life that we get to interact and engage in. So the truth is, there obviously is a relationship between these two, but we've not intentionally explored them, nor do we intentionally have conversations about them, which is another place that this misbelief comes from. We don't necessarily talk about the relationship between the two. And one of the reasons we don't talk about the relationship between the two is that we don't really know what the relationship is between the two, because it hasn't been talked about. You see, the truth of the matter is, this goes back to the main thing we've been saying about this challenge. This is about challenge for transformation. Challenge for transformation. I'll say it again. Challenge for transformation. Now, think about this in your mind for a moment. Let me let me kind of take a pause and give you an evaluative experience. If you've been a part of every experience up to now, day one with James in the mastermind in the morning, day one with the lunch and learn, day two with Lynn in the mastermind, day two in the lunch and learn, and then day three with Brandon, and then now. Think about what you've heard so far and ask yourself, has any of this challenged me? If the answer is yes, then what you can absolutely say is this: I have had an experience that is designed to make me grow. Though uncomfortable, it's designed to make me grow and access value that I have always desired. And especially as it relates to family life crashing and burning, even if your family life is not crashing and burning, or if it has crashed and burned, or it is crashing and burning right now, the truth is the fact that you're being challenged means that you are postured to be able to experience transformation from the challenge. The truth is, there's nobody who's ever challenged who's not really positioned for transformation by the challenge. Matter of fact, I love this. I talked about this, I think, with James a little bit. I got to use this again. In John 11, where it talks about John 11 in the Bible, where it talks about Jesus raising Lazarus from the dead. I love this piece. It says, he called Lazarus forth. So there was an awareness of death, now life. But he then tells the people who are around him to then unbind him, to loose him and let him go. So what do I see there? Challenge is an awareness and an awakening. But as far as accessing, there must be some type of effort from the people around us who have dealt with being aware, who have come to an awareness and have actually access to help other people access for the purpose of being able to experience transformation. Here's why I say that. We talk about community a lot here. Matter of fact, one of the main things we are preaching and preaching and preaching and preaching is, listen, enjoy this, receive this, benefit from this, but join the community and go deeper. And don't just experience a leap through this transformation challenge, because you're going to experience a leap. Experience a quantum leap by being able to leverage the growth of others in their discomfort and they're being challenged and they're being transformed. That's also an aspect of understanding the relationship of experiences like this in the context of how they move you into a greater growth zone. So realize all that I'm really trying to harp on, to be very honest, as far as even where this thought process and idea comes from, is the importance of understanding relationships. And so let me, as I get ready to shift towards the bottom of this presentation, let me introduce this thought process here of roles and relationships. Roles and relationships. So when we think about family life and business life, and we also think about them in context of this misleading belief of that they don't relate. What happens is we fail to see, not only in the belief that they don't relate, that there's no connection and that there's no way that they can kind of talk to each other and communicate and integrate and be congruent, but also we don't understand the role that these two play in our lives in such a manner that we disregard the true power of them. Let me explain what I mean. Remember, I said this earlier, that family life and business life are meant to be teammates, not opponents. Now, you think about a team. So I'm going to use basketball because I've coached basketball. I've played basketball. I've run track. I've done a number of different things. Matter of fact, let me shift. Let me use track. Track is interesting. Matter of fact, I'll go a little deeper and go to cross country. Y'all probably wouldn't have thought that I would even talk about this. That's cool. That's why I'm on this side. I used to actually run cross country. One of the unfortunate realities, I talked yesterday about how I was a quitter and things of that sort. I quit cross country my senior year in high school. Now, I quit right before the season started. And the real reason I quit is because I just didn't want to run long, far anymore. But I didn't have the right perspective. I didn't have the right belief system, to the degree that the reason I really quit, even though I said it wasn't because I didn't want to run anymore, the reason I really quit was because I really didn't know why I was running. I didn't really know what I was getting out of running for those long distances, because when I would run and get good at running, I would never really compete at the level consistent with how I did in my preparation. Now, my preparation was great compared to my competition, but it was because there was not, watch this, y'all, there was not a relationship in my mind of my practice to my competition. Actually, I never saw that my practice was the not only preparation for my competition, my practice was really my true picture of what my competitive level was. Like, I never really saw that the true person I was competing against was my past achievements in pursuit of my unlimited, unleashable potential. So really, I was chasing rewards, trophies, and first places, but I never got fulfilled from that, which is why I also had the thought process that I don't care about money, because I didn't have the true thought process and the belief system about the value that comes from that. I was looking at the thing itself, and it was distracting me because I had no value for the thing. I'm a person, to be honest, I think this is one of the reasons why I'm in the position to where I can help people and give them value in regard to this construct of family life crashing and burning while business life is thriving and vibing, is because the material thing doesn't really move me much. You know, people showing the Lamborghinis and the Ferraris and, you know, all the different cars, and then the multi-million dollar houses and the yachts and all. Like, I like those things, you know, the nice clothes, but those things don't move me. Like, there's got to be a very universal, eternal depth of perspective that has to be at the core, that's so predictable, so productive, time and time again, that when I see that, that thing is the thing that moves me, right? Oh, I got to put this up, and we got to talk about this real quick. How many of us so readily reject limitations that the world, society, and others place on us while subscribing to our own self-imposed limitations all the time? So many of us. That's the simple answer. And I was certainly one of them. So, getting back to the story. So, my cross country thing. One of the things about cross country was, you are running as a team, but you're also running as an individual. Very similar to track, where you got, you know, you run your race, but then your points count for you, but also count for the team, right? So it's really an individual sport and a team sport all at once. But cross country, it's very much integrated. Integrated so that what happens is, if I am in like the top 10 and everybody else on my team is in the top 10, while we may not win the event as individuals, we could actually win the event as a team, right? And so if you have good numbers in the top 10, you can end up actually winning championships and moving in the next level to where you're going to state and nationals and all these types of things, right? And so here's what happened. I quit my senior year. Now, I was on varsity my junior year, and majority of us were coming back because majority of us were underclassmen. And I quit, and one of the strongest runners other than myself, he was actually a year behind me. So You talking about a lot of competitive strength being brought to the team for people who were underclassmen who are now progressing. And I was going to be the only, one of the only seniors, not the only one. Well, here's what happens. I quit the team. They made it to the state finals that year. And if I had run, only one of them did actually. If I had run, our team could have made it to the state finals. Our team. But watch this. Because I saw that I was not really translating from practice to competition, the realities, and therefore I saw it only from the view of myself. I didn't even see how myself's, I know I probably should say that differently, but myself's contribution would give value to the team and position us as a team to make it to the state finals. Watch this, y'all. And potentially be able to win as a team, if not as individuals. See, where does this thing really come from? From selfishness. It comes from an isolated view of ourselves rather than a view of others' value from us and how that value from us goes out to them and reciprocates back to us. Goes back to the 3 C's that I talked about yesterday. Contribution, compensation, consumption. See, what Leo was focused on was consumption and compensation. Rather than saying, you know what? If I give the greatest contribution, it will open up the door for the rewards through the compensation, the recognition through the compensation, and the things that I can get from the consumption. I really should have been running cross country and track on a full scholarship in college. And guess what happens when we fail to deal with, first and foremost, the right relationship between family life and business life, but the right relationships and roles of anything in our world, in our lives. What happens is we don't just hurt other people, we hurt ourselves in extremely damaging ways. Now, let me get back to the specifics of roles and relationships. Relationships in and of themselves have the aspect of roles in them. So we have roles in the relationships. For example, in family life, you have the dynamics of immediate family, extended family. And in the immediate family, you have parents, you have husbands, wives, you have children. Then you have in the extended, you got grandchildren, grandparents, you got cousins, uncles, aunties, and great aunts, and all those different things. But each one of those people have a vital and valuable role that they play in contributing to who you are, who you become, but also you being able to contribute to who they are and who they become. So within the context of our relationships, we have roles we play on the business side. We got the executives, we have the mid-level managers, we have the implementation level of the labor level, the operations, the ground floor where the rubber meets the road. And everybody playing their role not only shows what the relationship is, it shows the value for the relationship. So business is a relationship. Family is a relationship. And they all are corresponded to being life-oriented relationships. But here's what you got to understand. Relationships also have roles. Relationships specifically, let's talk about family life and business life. The people who are frustrated believing and feeling that family life is just being funded by business life. That means that they don't understand the role that relationship of business life is designed to play for the family life. And those who feel like, going back to misbelief number 2, that I have to choose between family life and business life, they don't understand the role, watch this, of family life and business life. Because if they did, they wouldn't be asking that question. But then those who are trying to balance, they don't understand the role that family life and business life are designed to play, such that when we look at the example of the fact that you work this many hours, you're at school this many hours, and you come home, you're only here for this many hours. If you look at it from that standpoint, business life is already won, and therefore family life is just like up here trying to figure it out. And then if you go and put more time, you go on vacation, you're on vacation for a week, 2 weeks, 3 days. It's like it pulls it down and the business life up here again. It doesn't work. Why? Because the relationship is not looked at on the basis of the role it's designed to play in those relationships, interactions, but also our own life. See, one of the reasons there's so much chaos in regard to perspectives that are valuable perspectives, but people want to challenge them, they want to disregard them. Or, for example, I'll give you a perfect example. You know, James has this saying, how you do anything is how you do everything. Well, what is the relationship of that perspective to anything and everything you do? And then not only what is the relationship, what role does that perspective play in you being able to have a very focused approach to anything? Well, you say that to some people, it challenges them and they get ticked off that you challenge them with this perspective. Because what do you mean? You know, because we're a homeschool family, there's a lot of everyday stuff that gets into the lessons of life. And so talking with my oldest daughter about, you know, the expectations that she has every morning. And one of the things is, you know, she's kind of transitioning in her life in a certain way, age wise, body changing, and, you know, different experiences. And I said to her, I said, listen, specific to sleep, I said, you want to sleep, and that's good. You should get your rest. We need to sleep. I said, but if you are sleeping and you continue to sleep when you actually need to be getting up, what you're saying is you don't understand the relationship of sleep to what it is you need to accomplish, and also the role that you play and how sleep can get in the way of the role you have to play when you don't use it appropriately, when you just decide to go ahead and stay asleep. Even deeper, I said, you got to understand, this is why I use James' perspective. He said about the importance of fully coming alive. Sleep is a semi-state of death. And when we wake up, we are actually kind of like experiencing this resurrection every day. We are coming alive, right? And so I said to her, here it is. You would rather remain asleep rather than understand that coming alive from sleep enables you to really show the value of the relationship of sleep and the relationship of the people who are on the other side of sleep and the role you play in enriching their lives. I was like, listen, sleep is good, but why not just wake up? Awake to make a difference. Awake to do the thing that you have been assigned to do so that it gives value to the people around you. Ultimately, what was being conveyed there and even challenged was there was an improper awareness or belief about the relationship, one of sleep, but also the relationship of her role and the relationship of the environment and her actions in that environment. Now, I hope this is not too deep because I know I kind of went there a little bit. Here's what I want to make sure that you understand about the misleading beliefs. The one that actually causes two of them to exist is this last one of believing that family life and business life don't relate, not knowing that they actually do relate, because we don't know how they relate, or we don't access the awareness that we really should have, and the awareness that's really built into us about the relationship between family life and business life, what happens is we find ourselves then moving in the direction to where we're asking the question about importance of one over the other. And not only importance of one over the other, we're also trying to balance them using the wrong measure, thinking that they're doing something in a certain way and able to function in a certain way when it really can't. Using the wrong measures, not really looking at it in the proper assessment orientation, and therefore we're not really being the true authorities of our family life and business life as we should, and we are operating in an insane way. That's why family life crashes and burns, because there's chaos by there not being clarity. Mm. Now, listen to me and listen to me well. There are some people who would look at this stuff and say, oh, it's just soft stuff. It's just mindset. It's just perspective. Let me just tell you this. What is it that causes us to achieve in business? It's mindset. No, Leo, it's the mechanics. Oh, y'all heard James talk about it on Monday, that the mechanics is directly connected with our ego. And when we prioritize mechanics over intention, what happens is we are actually operating an ego. And that's how you get to see things like what happened with Southwest Airlines. I told you, there's a truth here. And that truth is, when family life is crashing and burning, it's only a matter of time before that same crashing and burning manifests itself in business life, such that the thriving and vibing of business life while family life is crashing and burning is really an illusion. In other words, I'm hopeful that you understand, at a minimum, regardless of anything that I say, take extremely seriously the reality that family life and business life are meant to be teammates and not opponents. And the truth is, they are in the arena of being operated with more as opponents than teammates, simply because people have beliefs and thoughts about family life and business life that are misleading them. Now, as I close this, because I got to get on for the 1:30 VIP Q&A experience with Linan. We about to get into some stuff. We got to take this a whole lot further. Were you challenged through these misleading beliefs? The way they were articulated, had you ever heard it that way? Not only that, are they true? If they are true, not only were you challenged, you've been positioned to experience transformation. And guess what? You got to come back for the next 3 sessions so you can get the accurate beliefs that will debunk and destroy these misleading beliefs. I'm telling you, it's going to be exciting. I'm excited to share it with you. This is going to be good. Now, for all of you who are listening and watching, listen, wherever you are, you can go to how you got here and click on the VIP experience for, I think it's day 1 or VIP experience 1. Linan and I are getting ready to take you guys through a Q&A, a VIP Q&A experience. And let me tell you, this is going to be like nothing you've ever experienced. I'm hopeful that you got a lot of benefit from understanding and having an awareness about these misleading beliefs. Oh my goodness. If you are willing to humbly and very comfortably accept the challenge, one of the things you're going to do is, like James said, you're going to let ego go. Let go of the ego. And in doing that, you're going to posture yourself to experience a catapult, a launching on the trajectory of exponential influence in regard to family life and business life, really being the teammates that they're capable of being. I hate that I left you just with the misleading beliefs, but since we got the rest of the time, I don't feel so bad. So listen, y'all go ahead and jump off with me and then jump into that next experience. It's going to be phenomenal. Hey, thank you for your time. Hopefully, this was some gourmet food as well. Listen, if somebody's still in the chat and they want to say something, let me know if this was gourmet, if it was Cajun, whatever you like. Tell me what it was. Uh-oh, somebody said they humbly accept the challenge. Come on, Larry. Love it. Love it. Yes, love it. Anybody, come on, somebody tell me what they thought about this food. What type of food was it? Somebody told us gourmet food on Monday. Or no, not Monday, day one. I be wanting to mess up these days. Someone give me something. Give me something. Let's see. Let's see. I'm just gonna keep calling it gourmet food unless y'all tell me something different. Okay, okay. Let's see. Let's see. Nobody up. Well, I guess they're jumping off to get over to the VIP experience. Oh, love it, Larry. Love it. Filet mignon. Oh, that's very much beyond gourmet. Okay. All right. Listen, thank y'all for this wonderful privilege. But listen, we got more to go. And you can literally, at the end of this 9-day transformation challenge, find yourself in a position to be on a trajectory of not just pursuing family business life mastery, but achieving it and continuously moving in the direction of seeing the value of the high performance construct and perspective about it. Listen, I got to get out of here. Got to go to the next one. Y'all join us over there as well. Take care. You hear me now?